I do.
That's right. Wesley runs Hustler Mowers for us and keeps the help keep equipment clean. Dr. Dave Ray, so does a good job for us during the summer.
That's awesome.
All right, Mr. Jeff.
I fixed it.
It's all fixed.
I don't know why. I don't know why that there's all these little buttons over there that I know that much. I don't know that much about them.
I know it.
So I started clicking. It worked. It worked. So there we go. We're on like we should be finally, and glad to have you, young man. I've been seeing him over at the shop. He's doing a good job for you.
He does a good job for us, learning a lot, and we've got two 15-year-olds this summer.
Yes.
As interns we call them. So doing a fabulous job. Yeah, sure are.
Very, very good. Well, I'm proud of him, and I know you are. And let's talk just a little bit before we get too started. Of course, this hour is brought to you by our friends at Rent Right. Bill Adams, you've been there a long time, buddy.
We have. Long time, 721 Buffalo Road, Rent Right Incorporated, and we rent a lot of equipment. We call ourselves a general rental equipment company, anything from water pumps to trenchers, straw blowers, concrete saws, anything you may need for those projects.
Said a lot of stuff happening around town. When it's happening with some good equipment, it might be from Rent Right.
Normally it is. It's
right.
Some way, some form.
That's right.
It's something out of our store.
That's right. Of course, those great Hustler lawnmowers are there for you. You can't beat those.
0% interest. We've got we do. We've got 42 months, 48 months, 0 interest. Got a special going on for 30 days here. It's $1,000 minimum trade-in on select Hustler models. So check that out. We call it our drag or drive special. So,
okay.
That junker you've got behind the barn, if you want to get rid of it, I'll take it. Minimum $1,000 for it. So check that out.
Can't beat that.
You can't beat that.
Can't beat that. And you have our guest, Mr. Dave Ray. Of course, Dave is a county commissioner.
He is.
Happens to be my county commissioner out in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, good friend.
So I can beat up on him.
Yeah.
You can beat up all day.
represents Lawrence County well.
Yeah.
And the people from the West End.
The West End, that's right.
So we're glad to have him this morning.
That's right.
Thank you.
Well, again, we had you guys last week, but we had some technical difficulty, and we want to. So some of this may be a little bit of a repeat if you were listening on the air, but we didn't make it to Facebook like we should have, or to YouTube. I think I have that corrected. So now we're gonna re-pursue a couple of things, and of course I'm a little more armed this time because I have a little more information than I had before. So that's pretty good. So let's review a little bit your adventures into the county commission. What made you decide to do that anyway?
Well, that's a great question. So I went through our regional, or I guess county leadership development program, Leadership Lawrence, that the Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce hosts annually whenever I was a junior in high school. And so when I went through this program, my predecessor, Alana Harris, actually spoke at that one of those meetings and really talked to us about what the county commission does. Because I really didn't know, and to be frank, I never would have pictured myself going into county government. And so she talked to the group as a whole, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. I didn't realize, local government was truly this important, and I really hadn't been involved in local government prior to this. And so fast forward a few months, we had sat down and talked about, her and I, potential of me running. And originally I decided not to run. But after I found out there was only one person running in the race, I decided to throw my name in the hat and just give people an option. My opponent would have been just as good. He and I are great friends now, just to clarify that. But anyway, so that's kind of how we got started.
Okay. Very, very good. Well, have there been some special challenges to the commission since you've been on?
There have been lots of challenges. Talking as everybody knows about their solid waste bill. It went up this year. That was a challenge that we had to face. And when a budget is running in the red, we've got to take care of that. We cannot continue to let it go into the red. So we saw that. We're kind of seeing some impacts of growth in our schools, and I know Bill can attest to that a little bit as he's getting ready to hopefully be part of the school board. So there's some different challenges we've seen. It's always each individual challenge is unique in every way. And it's great to be able to kind of learn each individual area of county government to really get an overall picture of county government.
Bill, we may switch back and forth. He mentioned you successfully running for a school board seat. Of course, I knew that you were running for that seat there. I think you represent my district as well. I think.
District
now
1.
the school board districts are divided a little different than the county commission district.
They are. Dave's district is
So my district is District 13.
13.
And so basically for every one school board district, there are 2 commission districts. So there's 9 school board members, 18 commission members.
Right. Yeah. So they're divided up a little bit. So you actually represent 2 county commission districts.
13 and 6.
13
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's all the way from the Murray County line to the Lauderdale County line, all the way down.
So really, is it kind of the west side of the county all
It's
the way down?
west.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most rural of the county.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well, one of the better halves of the county. I
Oh, it
guess.
is. No doubt.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, I get to claim both. I grew up out at New Prospect on the east side.
Yeah.
So I get to claim both. That's a good place out there
That's
too.
perfect.
And
Yeah.
when you mix them in the middle there, you get Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, that's right. Surrounded. Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, so we've got a good community all the way around. What do you see, and what was some of the reasoning behind you deciding to run for the school board, Bill?
I felt like the Lord just put it on my heart, and I began to watch myself study as in leisure time, just studying school board policy, state policy. And then someone showed up at my door by the name of Dave Ray, said, "Won't you consider running for school board?" And my question today was, "How did you know?" So I believe it was a timely thing. I believe it's my turn to serve.
Yeah.
That season to serve. I am I'm passionate about those 7,000 kids.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen to them. There's some say that you're limited in what you can do and provide, but if we can encourage great leaders like we have, just to continue on and not be discouraged, and I think that's one of the school board's charges is with encouragement and not discouragement. So if we can accomplish that over the next 4 years, so be it. Also encouraging our county commissioners. They've got a lot on their plate, and as the finance arm, as the legislative arm, so to speak,
Yes.
for our county, those boys and girls need some encouragement. So we hear a lot of moaning and groaning, but oftentimes we don't hear of the good things that happen in Lawrence County,
Right.
and those need to be supported and from good people.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
for those of us who know, your connection to the schools and school system runs pretty deep. You're here in Lawrence County because of the school system.
We were.
Your dad came on board here, Coach Jerry Adams, and you were delivered here during your high school years, and of
Yep.
course he became just an iconic figure to a lot of us who grew up knowing him.
Yeah, he was, and it runs really deep in Louisiana, where we're from a school teaching, coaching background, all the way back a couple of generations, and so circumstances led us to Lawrence County. Very interesting story for another day, but we ended up here, had some fantastic years at Lawrence County High School. My dad did, and me playing ball there, finishing school. My siblings finished at Lawrence County, and of course college educated in the area, and it's been some good years. Lawrence County is home to us for over 50 years now.
Yeah, and now your daughter teaching.
Leanne's teaching at Loretta.
Yeah.
And so she's a Mustang down there and teaching Spanish.
Awesome.
And so we're very proud of her. And also our boy, John, who's in Nashville.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, now, back to your position at the school board. What are the responsibilities of the school board?
That's yet to be determined by
I'd
Bill.
really like to know. I mean, who knows what the responsibilities of the school board are?
Yep. I think thumbs up, thumbs down on a lot of things. Advisory, I'm understanding. Support of Mr. Atkins, our director of schools, and fabulous guy. And we've got to surround our good people with good people,
Right.
and to attract and retain good teachers, and that's one thing that I believe that it's going to be passionate to me. Let's attract the most fabulous teachers we can come up with and untie their arms and let them do what they're good at, is teach.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Well, then you're gonna, I guess, we all are gonna lean on, I guess, not only the school board, but underneath all that and behind all that, the county commission
Yes.
has to be supportive of the school system and the school
That's
board.
right.
Yeah.
You're spot on. That's exactly why, I'm looking to revitalize our school board liaison committee through the commission, because we need to be talking about these things going forward. We as a commission need to be on the same page as the school board, whenever we're looking to plan. Because, a lot of times in this county, I think what we've done is we've done a lot of patchwork rather than planning. And we need to really sit down and form a strategic plan and say, where's this growth going to occur? Where do we really need to push our funding? And what does our funding mechanism look like for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years? Because that's something we've got to look at. And I know with Bill's help on the school board, we'll be able to really sit down and plan that out.
Well, funding's always a problem, I guess. And speaking of that, can you speak to the financial well-being of the county at this point?
Well, I think we're doing very, very well, especially out of the seasons that we've come out of. Obviously, a few years ago, whenever we were going through COVID, I know that's just a four-letter word to a lot of people now, but whenever we were going through that, we received a lot of federal dollars. The grant money that was just allocated for health supplies per se, but then also to improve county mechanisms, county departments, and things like that. So we had a very massive increase to the fund balance. We're required to spend a good portion of that money, or they would take it back. So it was kind of important that we spend that. So that's why you might see some renovations at the courthouse that are actually complete at this point, and some different areas in county departments that needed a little push of funding. But right now, our county's looking very great. We've got a phenomenal fund balance, and I'm specifically speaking about our general fund. We've got many funds at the county: a solid waste fund, road fund. I'm not going to go over all of them, but there's a lot of them. But our general fund is a lot of times the one that gets the most attention, and it's looking great. Our fund balance is going to meet this year, at the end of this new fiscal year, should this budget pass, it's going to meet 40% of our planned expenditures. So we've almost planned, if we need to spend all of our fund balance, we can spend up to 40% per se, and meet all those expenditures. So I think we're doing very well, and that is definitely given to the past commission, the past budget director, and then our current budget director and county executive. So, I think we're in a great spot to go forward.
Well, recently, of course, the health department's made the news because of a grant, or
Sure.
because of funds that were available through the COVID relief.
Yes.
It was leftover.
Part of that, yes. So to talk about that a little bit, as a matter of fact, because I know that's definitely been a hot topic in Lawrence County lately. The health department went through a few rounds of grants to obtain about $4 million from the state of Tennessee to construct a new health department. With that, the county is required to match $1.2 million. Okay, so we had some money allocated from COVID that the former commission actually appropriated to this health department project. And so at a few past commission meetings, this topic has gotten sent back to committee, which has caused a little bit of a stir, because there were many commissioners who were unsure where the funding was coming from. So hopefully we've cleared that up, especially in the facilities committee. You heard some different things from the county executive. A few articles were put out. One, talking about, talking to your commissioner to support this, because basically, in a roundabout way, it's free to Lawrence County for this new health department to be built. And so then, you saw another article kind of backing that one up a little bit and commending the commission for taking that step. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at on that project. Hopefully tonight, we're working to pass the budget tonight. And then also that item's on the agenda tonight as well to pass that health care facility. So that'll be great.
Well, just to clear it up for me, and I'm not trying to be at all controversial, I'm really
Sure.
trying to understand
Sure.
how the funding came to be.
Yes.
Because one of the things I heard was, okay, there's this money and it's completely there for the health department, and it's not going to But I thought I heard you say I didn't think there was a match, but I thought I heard you say there was some kind of match.
So basically, out of that $4 million, that took a few grant rounds. There is that. Out of the $4 million, the match was that $1.2 million, from what I understand.
Okay.
And so we were able to use the federal dollars that we had received through COVID for this. So really, in all reality, local tax-paying property taxes, any type of thing that's collected locally, is not necessarily being used for this project.
Okay, so the match that we are doing is money that we already had because of a different grant. Anyway.
Correct.
Okay, so it wasn't that we had to come up with the match from scratch.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
correct.
what I was trying to get to, because I wanted to just clarify.
Sure,
because,
absolutely.
Okay, we had two pools of grant money, basically.
Yes.
And so the first pool is paying for the match for the second pool.
That's right. That's right.
Interesting.
Yes.
See how I just sorted that all
Is there
out?
is there any other building projects being talked about?
Not right off that I can reminisce. I know we've got a bond issue, and I guess we may talk about that here in a few minutes. But that is going to enable the road department to have some funding to improve some roads. The school system's going to get a good portion of that to go towards classrooms and things like that over the next few years, and then the county's going to get just a little sliver to do some needed projects at some of the departments to make sure we're operating as efficiently as possible with those taxpayer dollars.
Okay.
So the state of the roads. Now, you're not the road commissioner, but you guys fund the road commission.
Yes, we do.
So how are we looking there?
Well, this year, I'll just kind of allude to the bond here. Right now, if I can be honest with you, the road department funding hasn't looked very good over the past few years. It has not, in my opinion, been a priority for Lawrence County in some scenarios. And part of the reason is we've got 1,041 miles of road. So it's very difficult, especially when the state gives you funding based on population and not based on road mileage, to really make sure all 1,041 miles, and don't quote me on that, I might be off a mile or two. Ryan Crick will have to correct me later. But anyways, looking at that, it's very difficult to give all that money to pave 1,041 miles of road. So this year we're making a stride and hopefully issuing this $20 million bond through the county. It's going to allocate $6 million to the roads. And so hopefully that's going to give them a nice little push of money that can really be reinvested back into the road infrastructure. And that way we don't have to have our vehicles realigned as often. If you drive down the middle of Lawrenceburg, and let me just clarify, this is not a county road, you hit those manhole covers constantly. And so, hopefully the state will come in and maybe level those with the road so you don't have to dodge one way or the other.
I don't think it's possible. I've never seen it happen.
Well, the bridges are the same way, but I'm not going to get into all that topic.
I've never seen it happen. But anyway, of course, if you drive in Lawrence County, you're driving a lot of times on state roads.
Yes.
And state-maintained roads.
Right.
And in general, I think our local state guys and road guys do a pretty good job.
They do, for sure.
And county, for that matter. Excuse me.
Yes. And I just want to add one thing, too. Ryan Crick and his team get a lot of slack a lot of times for not keeping the roads updated. But I just want to clarify, at the end of the day, he only can do what he has the money to work with.
Sure.
If the county commission doesn't fund his department, he's really not going to be able to maintain the roads any better. So if at the end of the day you're unhappy with your road condition, call your commissioner rather than the road department. And I'm about to get a lot of slack from that on the commission.
I was going to say, you're fixing to get some phone calls.
But that's what we're here for.
I don't like to think of myself as a complainer. And I don't think I do for the most part. But now some people really enjoy getting to complain about one thing or another. It seems like, anyway. It seems like that. And I'll have to say, out in our little neck of the woods, the roads are in pretty fair shape. They've been much worse, so they seem to be improved a little bit.
Yes.
But we don't have a lot of dirt roads anymore in the county.
We don't. I was on one yesterday, and that's been a minute since I've been on one. But that's true. We're moving, I think, to chip and tar a lot because it is somewhat. It's cheaper than asphalt. Let me say it that way. And it's, I think, from what I understand, easier to maintain than gravel and dirt.
Well, yeah, easier to maintain, easier on your vehicles.
Yes.
Easier to live with. But many years ago, of course, there were miles and miles. Everybody seemed, most everybody I knew lived on a dirt road.
Yes.
But there's just not that many left in the county. There's some, but not as many as there used to be. Well, Bill, back to you just a minute. When do you actually begin your start your service?
We've got another election cycle, and you might help me out on this, Dave Bray, with the way I understand it, with not being contested.
Right.
So explain how that works.
So earlier in the year, we went through a primary election. If you run as either Republican or Democrat, if you're opposed in that race, you go through the primary election, and then once that winner gets through that, then they've got to go through the general, just in case there's somebody on the other side of the aisle per se who had gone through their primary and made it through.
Sure.
So Bill is uncontested, thankfully. So hopefully there will be no issues going forward into August.
So that'll happen with the general election in November then.
So no,
right?
this is county general is in
County-
August.
In August.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I thought, man, that's a long way away.
Yes.
But so it's August.
County general is in August, and then obviously you get into your state and federal elections.
Do you know
later in the year.
right off the top of your head what other offices will be running?
So yes,
in
county.
August?
County, I believe you'll see the property assessor, and then there's one other, and it's left me right this second. But there's two other positions I believe that ran during this cycle who were unopposed as well. I'll have to find that other one out though. It's left me right off.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, whether I should bring this up or not, I don't know.
Oh boy.
But you mentioned the assessor's office,
Yes.
and of course, dealing in real estate every day like I do, we deal with the tax cards,
Sure.
the county plats, all those records are there at our disposal. I used to have to actually physically go there many times a week to get a copy of the tax records, etc. Of course, it's all online now, so it's very
Yes.
rare that I have to go to the office, but they're always helpful if I do.
Great.
But that begs the question, property taxes are always an issue.
Yes.
Property taxes in our neck of the woods compared to a lot are probably rather low.
Sure.
And so that becomes on the radar of the tax guys. Whose responsibility is that?
As in, clarify your question just a little bit, because as in
Who's responsible when it's time to, or if it's time to raise property taxes?
So that does fall at the seat of the commission. The commission has the legislative authority given by the state of Tennessee to raise or decrease property taxes. And so there's some stipulations, and I will not get into all of that, but just because there's a lot of facts I can throw out from some of this stuff that I've learned. But the county commission is given that authority to raise or to lower property tax.
Well, you've only been on the county commission a relatively short time
Yes.
compared to a lot of them.
Sure.
And so you're beginning to get your head around, county revenues, how it's generated, all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. And you just mentioned that our county's in relatively good shape, general fund wise.
Yes.
But do you see any tax increases in the future?
Well, that's very hard. That's very hard to say. I think there's a lot of factors that we have to look at before I make a conclusion on that. Such as growth, such as how many new homes are being built, things of that nature. Really, before we say, we're going to have increased property taxes. We did recently we just reset our reappraisal cycle from a 6-year period to a 4-year period, and that's something that Brady Hutton, who's the property assessor, we're actually kind of ahead compared to a lot of other counties in the state on that specific side, because the state is wanting to get us on a lower, recurring annual. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Get us on a recurring cycle for reappraisals that have less gaps. I guess that would be the word. To keep those prices and appraisals more accurate to market details.
So you want to reassess the property values more often?
Every 4 years, rather than having that 6-year reappraisal cycle, because you of all people what can happen in a 2-year period, much less a 4 or 6-year period. So that's where, if we can get some more accurate appraisals, I think that's going to keep us from having to raise property taxes at any point in time, because we're getting more accurate numbers.
And we are. There's a lot of data involved, of course, in real estate.
Yes.
And it's mostly it's pretty much at anybody's fingertips if they want to look it up. You can determine property value pretty easily with the data that's available to you. And it's funny, and of course, we're all this way. We want our tax assessment low, but we want our sale price high.
That's right. That's right.
So I see that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Sure.
But that's just the kind of the nature of the beast.
Sure.
We all don't want to pay taxes, but we have to.
Right.
If we want to maintain a standard of living, maintain our schools, maintain our roads, law enforcement, all the things that county government does.
That's right.
Why don't you go through that? You and Bill together, kind of go through the departments, all the responsibilities of county government.
Well, let me pull up the departments
go.
really quick, because otherwise I will miss one and then I will get some phone calls because I missed it. So let me actually pull up here our departments. So we've got. I'm just going to list them if that's okay.
Sure.
Just so you can really get an idea in case you've never
Absolutely.
heard about county government or what we do. You know, here's your list. So we work with UT Agriculture Extension, those 4-H agents. You know,
Yes.
that's kind of a county department per se. Ambulance service, so your EMS staff, archives, the assessor of property, the Office of Accounts and Budgets, which works directly under the county executive's office, circuit court clerk, clerk and master, county clerk. There's a lot of clerks there. The election commission, the health department, highway department, Lawrence County Soil and Water Conservation District, public library, register of deeds, sheriff's department, solid waste, county trustee, and veteran service office. So you can see we have got, and that's not even adding the school system. That's just our commission per se
Right.
departments. And so, you know, adding the school system into that as well, there's an overlook at how many departments we're required to pay attention to and overlook and manage in a sense.
Did you mention law enforcement?
I did mention the sheriff's department.
Sheriff's department.
Yes, yes. I kind
That's-
of went through that list.
Law
quickly.
enforcement and sheriff's department, that's supposed to be the same thing.
Yes, yes.
I think that's supposed to be. Is that the same thing? You mentioned briefly water.
Yes.
Let's talk about water just a minute. And water districts. How do those fit into the kingdom of county commission?
So I'll be honest, we don't deal with utilities as often unless we are given grants. You know, a lot of times the county is generally the grant administrator
Yes.
of any grant that somebody in the county receives, whether it not necessarily a municipality, but if organizations, nonprofits will receive grants, sometimes we will be the manager of that grant. So,
Okay.
you know, we've seen in the past grants to install new water infrastructure, new lines and things like that
Right.
underground, but generally we don't really touch the utilities, from what I understand at least, and I may be off on that. Maybe we touch it more than I realize, but that's not a subject that I have been as well versed in as I probably should be.
Okay.
But-
Well, I may get us off on a rabbit here then, because I was thinking of it. So if it's not under the umbrella of the county commission, can me and Bill Adams go out here and start a water district?
You know, that's a good question. It wouldn't surprise me if you could, to be honest with you.
I wondered about it. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, I really don't know. That's a
I have
question
no idea.
probably for the state, if I can be honest with you, because I know there are state mandates.
there
over
are
those water
state
districts.
regulations, I'm sure, that regulate
Yes.
water districts and or utilities.
I can tell you the county executive appoints members to water districts. I can tell you that for sure. The county
Yes.
executive is given the authority to.
I guess
appoint
that's
those
why I'm
members.
trying to figure out the man or the. I guess that's why I'm trying to figure out the marriage between those two.
Yes.
Because they operate independently.
Right. Their books are totally separate from ours.
They
Is there
operate
any money from the county to the water districts?
Right off, I don't think we give any money to water districts whatsoever. I didn't. If there is, it's in a separate line that I have not looked at in our budget, which
Yeah.
is about 110 pages long. But
Jeff's underlying motive of thought is all of this water that's created that starts in Lawrence County.
Well,
We've got really good water.
we have
really
good
neat.
water for
Water sources.
We have good
Yes.
water sources.
Yeah.
But there are still pockets and places where people do not have public water.
Sure.
Right.
Run to there, and of course they depend on a well. I happen to be one of those, and we're blessed to have a good well, and I
Yes.
like it.
Right.
But you know, what if?
Yes.
What if we weren't able to have a good well? Then what would we do? So there's all those scenarios, and I know that for the most part, people like having access to public water because I deal with it a lot, selling in rural areas.
Sure.
So it's just an interesting subject to me.
Well, and I'll say, just like any other utility, especially in my district, I know there's a water issue in my district in terms of enough infrastructure to actually be able to get some of these houses. But the issue you see, just like with any other utility, is the difference between an urban and rural area. In an urban area, you can run 1 mile and hit 10 to 15, 20, 30 houses, just depending.
Sure.
Right? Well, in rural area, it's a lot more expensive to run utilities because you're running maybe 2 miles to hit one house potentially.
Sure.
Well, that's a very expensive. You got a 4-inch pipe trying to, run it out that far. It adds up. And so that's why it's such a costly expenditure to work in these rural areas.
It is.
So.
Yeah, it's just the economics of scale. That's all you got to say.
West End Water District. That's what we need, right?
Is there a West End Water District?
No,
There's not a West. I didn't think there was.
there's not.
No.
Oh, well, okay. Well, maybe we ought to create one. But I do know it's a very expensive proposition.
It is.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. What else can we look for on the horizon here? We've talked about county growth, population growth.
Yes.
It's impacting our schools, and of course, are there some building projects going on with the schools or planned?
So part of this bond, I'll just go ahead and allude to the bond issue that we're talking about. And
Dive out there. Get on.
Yes. Well, that's going to be decided tonight. So whether you're for or against, I guess all I can tell you is to call your commissioner.
Yes.
About any of the things that we're talking about today. You're welcome to call me. I'll answer even if you're not in my district. I represent all of Lawrence County.
Yeah.
Just like all the other 17 do as well. But anyways, the bond. We're looking to issue a $20 million bond this evening. And 12 of that's going to be allocated for schools. Now, hopefully, the schools have a plan going forward, and I think they do. I've talked with Director of Schools Michael Adkins and some of the school board members about what their plans are for going forward with some of these projects, with classrooms or things.
Right.
And so I think over the next few years, you're going to see some classroom projects.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the bond passes. If not, we're going to have to go back to the drawing table. There may be some differences. But just talking about the bond itself, and Bill, you may be aware of some other projects that may be happening that are outside of the scope of this county bond issue.
No, not per se. I know there's a study going on.
Yes.
That the school board is in the process of gathering information, data
Sure.
of what's going on in the county, what to expect, growth. I'm sure they're looking at industry, families moving in, number of children that are going to be in the school system. There is some overcrowding in a couple of schools. There's some zoning being talked about, and so you've got a lot of full classrooms in certain areas, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And those are opportunities, and it's going to be fun to dive into that and
Definitely.
look
Let's
into
take
it.
just a moment and to do two things. To remind folks that this hour is brought to you by our good friends at Rent Right. Bill Adams, of course, owner, operator, him and Jimmy Ann there of Rent Right, and all the equipment that's available for you, the mowers. And Bill, you might want to speak to that. But also, I want to open up the phone lines, 766-9393 if you got questions for Bill or Mr. Ray. We want to invite you to call 766-9393 if you want to wade in on our discussions. But Bill, you got I want to remind everybody of the special you got going on with the mowers.
Yeah, just drag or drive special, hustler special. You will take in on trades, anything that runs or doesn't run. Dave Ray, I've seen your mower. You need a trade. So 0 interest. We offer that. We can do the finance apps right there in the store through SheffieldFinancial.com. It's all online. Love to help you out. Just come by and see me, and you'll be greeted with a smile, or maybe by my friend Wesley here.
All right. Wesley's done a good job. I know that.
He's great.
He is awesome. He is awesome. Well, again, the phone lines are open if you'd like to talk with us. If you've got questions for our county commissioner or our upcoming school board member, 76693. Now, the county commission meets tonight?
We meet tonight. Let me give you some times if you're interested in joining us this evening. Okay, so from 4 to 5, we are required by the state of Tennessee to have a 1-hour public comment time before we pass tonight's budget. So if you have anything you'd like to say, good, bad, ugly, all of the above, please come tonight from 4 to 5 and share your opinion. And then at 5 o'clock, the commission will meet in a special session to go over this budget, and we've got some other items on the agenda as well that we'll be reviewing tonight.
Very good, very good. You mentioned briefly, and I want to kind of go back to it. And we talked about this, I think, when we had our program before, but we're kind of doing a repeat because of the audio problem we had.
Yes.
But, the population growth and the impact that it is going to have on our schools. And have you done? Are there studies out there, or do we have statistics on that over the last couple of years?
Yes, actually, let me pull them up really quickly. This is something I believe the Chamber of Commerce and maybe connection with some other organizations put out some of this information. But I'll read some facts to you. I think it's just great information to know. In 2023, the population is approximately 46,114 in Lawrence County, and in 2020, your census number is 44,159. So you can see what kind of increase we've had over a 3-year period.
A couple of thousand.
Yes. Let's see here. I'm trying to look at some other options here too. Let's see here. We talked about the sales tax a little bit. Your local sales tax rate is 2.75. So whenever you pay, 9.75, 7% goes to the state, and 2.75 comes to the county and or city, just depending on where you're spending that money.
Okay, so county and city collect some money on retail spending.
Yes.
Local retail spending. Of
Yes.
course, people need to know too, if you spend money outside the county, that doesn't come to us. But
Right.
But if you're spending money here with some of our local business, that's why we have that preached from the housetop sometimes, especially around the holidays and all that kind of stuff. Shop local, all that kind
right.
of stuff, because it does help support
Yes.
all the services that we've talked about. And of course, we want to encourage folks to do that as much as possible to deal
Right.
with our local businesses.
Yes.
What about the business climate? Both of you, you guys, you're Bill, of course, you're in business, have been in business here in Lawrenceburg and Lawrence County for a long, long time. Dave, you're now a part of the county commission. I run my own business.
Yes.
And of course, kind of connected in that circle with a lot of folks here who do. And in general, I find Lawrenceburg easy to do business in.
Yes.
So what are we doing to kind of encourage even more, entrepreneurs to jump on out there and get something going?
Sure. Well, that's a great question, and I think the simple answer is we're continuing to keep taxes low. I think a lot of times when especially a small business gets started, that tax burden is very important because it can be comprised of a large percentage of their profit if they're not careful, depending on whether they're going into retail or if they're in a service-based business. There's a lot of positions they've got to take into effect there. But when you're looking at your larger businesses, especially Fortune 500 companies and things like that, obviously if you've been up north just a little bit, you've passed our new Magna plant that's coming in. That's a massive win for Lawrence County. For those larger businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, and I want to commend Ryan Egley and Ben Barnett and all the team there who work tirelessly to prepare these sites, which is what I'm kind of about to talk about. We prepare these industrial development sites. That means we've already got the utility infrastructure there. We've already mapped out what's best in terms of where their shipments might leave and the traffic patterns. So we prepare all of that for larger companies to come in and look and say, wow, Lawrence County is a great spot because of our centrally located industrial park. Or there's a lot of facets there, but looking at it from a small business perspective and then also a large business perspective, overall, I think your low tax burden is what is so it's such an important role whenever they're making that decision to choose their location, where to start business.
Taxes low, of course, and I hear that. I've been privileged to deal with a few folks that have come here and relocated their businesses here,
Yes.
especially recently.
Yes.
And that's one of the things we hear is they're leaving places that have overburdened them. And I guess I would, as a citizen of Lawrenceburg, talking to a county commissioner,
Yes.
that I would caution, the county commission to very carefully consider that when they, because I hear it all the time, we're leaving a place that's just overburdened us,
Yes.
or overregulated us.
Sure.
And so I'm hoping that we can avoid that. But with growth comes responsibility, I guess.
That's right.
We just need to be careful how we do it.
Yes, and I'll add one thing too. Not only does the county take that very seriously in terms of making sure we continue to have a great business climate, but the state of Tennessee also does that. It really requires the state to have that same thought process in order for counties to really be able to achieve that as well. Because if the state and the county are not on the same page in terms of having a great business climate, there will not be a great business climate.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really commend the state of Tennessee for doing their work. The governor and both the Senate and the House working very well together on keeping our state taxes low too, because that's very important as well.
Yeah.
And generating a great business climate.
Well, Bill, he mentioned the state and county working together. What about the county and cities?
I think we've got great relationships with all of our municipalities here in the county. As a commissioner, I don't generally work a lot. My district does not encompass any form of municipality, but I do know some of the things that come out of these relationships with, talking about the animal shelter. That's a great combination where the city really runs it and maintains it, but the county's able to put some money towards it, so all county residents can utilize that facility. So things of that nature, seeing the fruit of those relationships is a great thing, and I really have to say that it seems to be that everybody's working well together.
Sure.
On the municipal level.
Utilities. Do I need to bring up utilities?
Sure.
You need to bring them up?
Why not?
Well, I have a reason for doing that. We, in general, I think we have, Lawrenceburg utility system. I have a lot of friends and neighbors who work there, do a great job. And,
Yes.
This is in no way to just, complain about their work. They go out when nobody else will or can. When the
Right.
storms hit, they go out and get the power up. And in general, we're good all the time. I have run into some people who have complained, who are trying to establish new service for a business here and that and the other, that it seems cumbersome and difficult sometimes to get done what they want to get done. And I know that the county commission really doesn't have anything to do with that, that I know of. But it's a city-run utility.
Right.
But it's also the only one we got. So if you need electricity, that's the
Right.
only place there is to get it.
Right. Well, and I want to say too, kind of talking about that for businesses in particular, again, talking about how that Chamber of Commerce, how they prepare things,
Yes.
they sit down at the table with these business leaders, especially for these larger plants.
Yeah.
They'll sit down and really ask them, hey, what's your need whenever you're coming to Lawrence County? What needs do you have? And so they're going to bring the utility system into that conversation as well, so they can really sit down and have a full 360-degree perspective about this business coming in to make sure all of their needs are going to be met if they decide and choose Lawrence County as their place of business.
One of the things, Jeff, I want to remind us of is, the big industries are fabulous. But from what we all three know sitting here, small business, I'm talking about mom and pop businesses,
Yes.
Right.
and body shops or real estate offices or LED shops
That's
or,
right.
or media shops. That is
Sure.
that is the backbone
Absolutely.
of our state. I think it was as high as 70% of employment
Yes.
was with small businesses. And I just want to make sure that we're doing all we can to support business to business. Now,
Right.
we get on the back of state and local government oftentimes wanting support from government agencies, but I think it's imperative that we support one another.
That's right.
And team up and support business to business, right?
Yeah.
Through recommendation, through encouragement, through learning together, business, proper business practices,
Right.
and opportunities also.
Well said, old buddy. Well said.
That's great.
Yeah, and that just kind of made me think, that it's true that cities, utilities, all that, when there's a big plant landing such as Magna, you know, everybody gets on board and all the utilities go to work and everybody's making this happen.
Right.
And sometimes a small business trying to get started who needs something done
Yes.
doesn't get the same attention.
Sure, you're spot on. You're exactly right.
Road work or entrance way
Yeah.
or, you know, a power pole here or,
Yeah.
you know,
You're spot on. Yeah.
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 Yep. You're right.
And again, I'm not waving a big flag of complaint. I'm just
No,
saying that's
no.
something that we need to kind of pay attention to.
No,
We do.
you know, and I'll say this: the city of Lawrenceburg, through our leadership, there's some things on Buffalo Road that we've gotten,
Sure.
and so I think if you're a team player and you have legitimate needs and you present it in the right way to county, city, or
Sure.
state, I mean, it's going to be met. But you know, oftentimes the squeaky wheel is the ones that I push back on also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a fellow tell me one time, you know, I was working actually for a Lee company at the time, for Governor Lee's company. And one of the VPs there, he said, just remember now, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I don't like being a squeaky wheel. You know?
Sometimes we would replace the bearing.
Yeah, I don't like being I don't like to be the squeaky wheel. I'd
Right.
rather, you know, roll along pretty smooth.
Yeah.
So why don't you just keep it greased all the time?
Yeah, you go.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So anyway, hey, I want to, before we have to leave here, it just crossed my mind, the road projects we mentioned, you know, countywide, but there is a particular road project that kind of flashed through my head, the one that's north of Lawrenceburg and going to connect over to Buffalo Road that's being talked about.
Yes.
What do you guys know about that?
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yes.
But now, that's a state project, is it not? Or is it state and
okay,
county?
I'm not as again. The county hasn't been involved in that as much, so I really don't know the
I
answer
think
to
it's
that.
a state.
It's a state
It's a
project.
state project, but it has been approved. I'm not sure of the timing.
They're cutting it now.
Oh, they're cutting it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's dirt work's going on. You know, the idea is coming out of the trucks coming out of the industrial park there.
Now, if we don't know where we're talking about, this is just above, just on the north side of town, above Walmart, where the new Amish traffic signal is. Right.
Yep there.
Yes.
That's the
Triple H.
That's the Lannyhurst. That's the Lannyhurst
Hockey.
Horse Biscuit Road there.
Yeah.
And
HHH.
yeah, that's right. And of course, I'm on the board of the horse business up there with Lanny. Lanny's the chairman of the board. But anyway, we've been overseeing that project.
Ah, good.
We've got some money making things in the works there.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that road.
I think it's
what
Motivation Drive.
Motivation Drive. Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah.
That heads west.
Yep.
It's going to be extended west.
Yep.
If you travel out that way now, you got to make a hard left.
Yep.
That you get to the end of it and it takes you south. But my understanding is we're going to extend that road and continue further west and hook up with Buffalo Road
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Where is that junction?
If you know where Buffalo Road Market is, it's in that vicinity.
In that vicinity?
So,
Okay.
yeah, I just ride up through there and see. You know, I think it's a long-term plan. I don't know the logistics of it. I've talked to our mayor about it, and I think it's a fabulous project, and I think it'll open up some
Probably needed, yeah.
some truck traffic. You're going to keep them off of Thomas Street and some of that, which is an issue. We run buses on Thomas and trying to get off of Buffalo Road or Motivation Drive north of town, trying to bypass to the west. It's an issue. So
Yeah.
if we're wanting industry and we're growing Magna and so forth, and more jobs, we've got to have roads.
Well, you know, some
Yeah.
of this is happening in spite of us.
It is.
It was there's just such a push from up north of population and growth
Yes.
that it's almost fallen on us whether we want it or not.
You're right.
And I mean that's just going to happen. So we're going to have to deal with it. And of course you guys are neck deep and a part of it. Again, the county commission tonight, and you've got the public forum from 4 to 5. Now, is that something new? Or have y'all been doing that?
No, that's from my understanding, we've done it at least since I've been on the commission, but I can almost guarantee you that that's been a law for a while.
Okay, so what's the participation there? Has it been good or?
Actually, no.
I was wondering. I mean,
No. Last year, as a matter of fact, I don't know if we had a single public comment in that hour. You know, and honestly, I think the commission would really like to hear what people have to say, even if it's good. You know, if you've had a chance to really sit down and maybe look over
Well,
the
nobody
budget.
has anything good to say.
Well, let me
Well-
ask you this: is it
I'm just,
do all commissioners are present?
Yes,
Or how's it go?
they're supposed to be. Let me say that. And I think hopefully tonight we'll hopefully see a better participation, especially after this interview, if they hear about this. So hopefully they'll all be there.
well, I'm gonna try to gather up some folks and drag them up there. We'll gather up some folks just to make it interesting. Anyway.
Should we bust them in?
We'll bus them in. That's right. We'll bus them in from
No.
first class charter over there.
No.
No, no. Okay. Listen, you could bring the prison bus.
I do have have you seen my
Yes,
prison bus?
I have. It's
Bill-
very cool.
Bill has a real, actual, sure enough prison bus
Yeah,
over there.
a little quick story. We bought that, and you know, we're actually going to use it for a church bus for camp.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fabulous. We could lock up tools in the cages and so forth. Well,
Well, you know, we're supposed to be prisoners of the Lord.
we are.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go.
So it is came from River Bend
Yeah.
Maximum Security Prison here in Tennessee. It's got Tennessee Department of Corrections on the side.
I've been to River Bend, not as an
Well,
inmate.
praise the Lord.
Hey,
Yeah.
you're shopping local.
Shopping local, right?
Not as an inmate, but yes.
Yeah.
River Bend
Yeah, I
maximum
think you
security.
rode on that bus, did you not?
We didn't take a ride, but we did take a tour.
Took some pictures.
Yeah, we took a tour of the bus.
Right.
And you tried to lock us up in the little
Yeah.
cage there, but we
Yeah,
escaped.
we did take a. We had some friends that wanted to ride on it, so we drove around town, Dave, and got some strange looks.
I bet.
And so we might do that at, maybe Halloween or
Yeah, we need to do that.
Christmas parade or
We
something.
need to do that. We need to do that. This young man here, let's say goodbye with him. We got-
Wesley Gonzalez.
Wesley.
say goodbye, and what are your duties at Rent
Yeah,
Right?
what do you do over there at Rent Right, Wesley?
Pressure wash. I mow and weed eat, clean up equipment.
Whatever needs done.
Yeah. What do you want to do? You and I have been talking about what you want to do in the next few years. What would you like to do at Rent Right?
I would like to become a salesman there.
You will. I don't have any doubt about it. I see your dedication.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
It's great.
Very, very good. It won't be too long till May. May will figure it out over there. She said that you came to help her the other day.
I helped her, with the May does the FedEx ship counter. That's one thing we need to mention.
Yes.
And we take all kind of packages, Dave, ground and overnight freight or packages. So
Yeah.
if you need to drop those off, you don't have to wait till 3:00 like some places. We're open at 7:30. We'll take them all day long. So. Come by. May is in charge of that counter 3 days a week, so we appreciate May.
She'll be there today, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Our good friends at Rent Right, Bill Adams, it is the Rent Right Hour, and of course, we're just about out of time. And Dave Ray, again, thanks for coming back
Yes.
after the mess up we had last week.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And of course, you'll be at the county commission meeting tonight. Good
With
Lord
bells
willing.
on.
And Bill, as always, a good time.
Good to see you, man.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Zach. Thank you, buddy. Is that Zach?
Wesley.
Wesley. I don't know why I said Zach. I don't know. You look like a Zach, I guess. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
To conspiracy under the Espionage Act and is expected to return to his home country of Australia after a judge signs off on the deal.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The prison sentence in Assange's plea deal will be wiped out by